This is the fourth video in a series of Essence training videos, and the second to focus on the query portal. In this video, we'll go over how to create a free text query that searches for specific terms in either the chief complaint or diagnosis field. This functionality allows each user to create their own syndromes for any health events or terms they are interested in viewing. Free text queries can be made as simple or complex as needed. To describe the process of drafting and refining a free text query, we'll use an example that the Enhanced Surveillance team at VDH Central Office created to look for sports-related head injuries. We'll start with building a chief complaint free text query. Once in the Query Wizard, under the Query Portal, you can choose any combination of search parameters as discussed in Essence Training video number 3. Under the Medical Grouping Systems, click on Chief Complaint. If you wanted to search visits for chief complaints that contained only the word head, simply enter head with no punctuation. This will return results where the chief complaint is an exact match for the word head. This is a very simple free text query and won't really return the visits we're looking for, so we'll need to add some complexity. If you wish to search for visits containing the word head anywhere within the chief complaint, enter that word or phrase bordered by carets. This will return all visits with chief complaints that contain words like headache and lightheaded, as well as head injury. If you wish to search for chief complaints that contain either one of two terms, use a comma, the word or, and another comma between the two terms. This should read caret term 1, caret, comma, or, comma, caret, term 2, caret. This will return chief complaints containing head and or concussion. These chief complaints can contain other words as well, because at this time we haven't created any exclusions. If you wanted to search visits that contain the word sport as well as head and or concussion in the chief complaint, join these clauses together with the word and. To exclude a term, use the words and not without a space. Since the word sport is contained within the word transport, we will exclude transport in order to remove any unrelated visits that had this term somewhere in the chief complaint. And, or, and not are Boolean operators. Essence follows basic database rules in how it reads these. If you wish to include or exclude multiple terms, you can use parentheses to help organize your query. In our head injury query, we've used two sets of parentheses to create two clauses. Each visit Essence finds using this query will have one or both of the terms head and concussion, as well as one or multiple of sport, practice, or game. Just remember that a comma should separate every symbol or word in between search terms. Displayed here is the query text. It may help you to draft your queries in a Word document before entering them into Essence. Once you have some practice with how to format the free text queries, it will become much easier. It's important to also consider misspellings when creating your query, as the chief complaint is often entered in a hurry by the hospital staff. For example, when searching for MRSA, we also include the phonetic MERSA in the query, as this is a common misspelling. Generally, it's better to start with an overly broad query that includes as many synonyms as possible. It is much easier to create exclusions based upon the results than it is to think of terms that might not show up in the original query. Once you've drafted a query and entered it into the center window of the Query Wizard, click the Select button. For the first few tries, you'll want to go into the Data Details page to ensure that your query is pulling the chief complaints you expect. The Data Details page will return all visits that fit your search parameters and will display the results in a line-level view. If your query pulls more than 5,000 total records, then you won't be able to view the data details on the Essence web page. Instead, right-click on the Microsoft Excel link and select Open. If a security alert pops up, click Yes to proceed. The data will open in an Excel spreadsheet. You can then search and filter the results to look for visits that don't fit your intended query. At this point, you can create exclusions in the original query to address the results that don't fit. You can keep working on your query in a trial and error manner until you are comfortable that it's returning the visits you're looking for. To modify your existing query, click on the plus sign next to the Configuration Options header at the top left. This will bring you back to the Query Wizard so you can make changes. Once you're comfortable with your final query, you can run it as a time series by clicking the button at the bottom of the center window. This will return all visits that fit your search parameters and will display the results as a trend line graph. You can save your query from the time series view. Under the Query Options header, there's a text box in which to name the query. You can save the query, create an alert for it, save it to your MyEssence toolbar, share it with other users, or publish the results for dissemination. Please don't disseminate the line-level data, as this is protected health information. If the data must be shared for public health investigation purposes, please be sure to take appropriate steps to protect the information securely and remove unneeded personal identifiers. We will go over how to see saved queries, share queries, and manage MyEssence in future training videos. Creating a diagnosis free text query works in much the same way. In the Query Wizard, scroll down in the left column until you reach Discharge Diagnosis. Enter or draft a query using the same Boolean operators and symbols previously discussed. Please keep in mind that diagnoses will contain more clinical terms than chief complaints. Instead of searching for chest pain, for example, a diagnosis query might include tachycardia. The Advanced Query gives you the option to create a query that searches for a specific set of terms in the chief complaint and another set of terms in the diagnosis. If you select a query on both fields, then it will only return visits that match the search criteria listed in both the chief complaint and the diagnosis fields. Searching in both fields at the same time tends to make your query very specific and narrow. Here, you can see only those visits that have a chief complaint meeting the criteria of our original query for sports-related head injuries, as well as have a diagnosis of a concussion. We will go over how to run an advanced query in more depth in a future video. If you have any questions or need assistance building a free text query, please feel free to email syndromic@vdh.virginia.gov.